right, everybody, welcome to a recap episode. I haven't done one of these in a little bit. Of Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball. I'm Dan Bespris. Thanks as always for tuning in. You can find me on Twitter at Dan Bespris. That's an easy one. DanBesbris. You can also find me on Blue Sky at Old Man Squad. And if you like our little short videos we put out, those are available on the YouTube page or on Instagram at Old Man Squad Fantasy. Yeah, I probably should have picked that name better. Let's go over a big Monday card. A lot of teams play. What was it, a dozen? I think it was a dozen games on Monday. A lot to cover. Normally, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to put together the little recap post. So screw that. We're just going to dive straight in. The hell with it. Here we go. Monday. Where do I want to put my face? Down here. I'm going to put my face down there. Lakers. First game on the card. This was actually nice for me from a personal standpoint, because I actually got to watch this game with my kid. It's 7:30 p.m. games out in Los Angeles. There's just no way that my child's going to be awake at the end of those things. Anthony Davis was nuts in this one. He had, I think, was it 21 and 10 at the end of the first quarter? It was crazy. Absolutely crazy. Demolished this Charlotte team. And then the Lakers stopped trying basically until about the midpoint of the fourth. Lots of turnovers. As far as fantasy stuff goes, like, we're going to try to blitz through. I should give you guys the heads up. We're going to blitz through the teams where there's nothing. The Lakers, there's basically nothing. LeBron is going to do LeBron-y things. AD's going to be great. Austin Reeves is your other guy there. Max Christie is not far. And you can see it here, a block, some threes. Like, he's a good foul shooter when he gets to the line. It was part of a 4-point play in this particular ball game. And he's going to hover right outside the playable zone, basically, is kind of where we're at with Christie. Like, he's not going to be a just guy that you plop into your lineup and leave him forever, because he's going to go through shooting slumps where he's basically unplayable. And then other times he's going to shoot the ball a little better and he'll be playable. So a little bit of that kind of hot hand thing. On the Charlotte side, LaMelo Ball turned an ankle. He was jogging backwards down the court. He stepped on the back of Jared Vanderbilt's foot and then did not return, which is crazy because it actually didn't look like that bad of an ankle tweak, but we know his history there. What does this mean? If you need a super low efficiency assists play, Vasilija Micic is your guy there. Nick Smith Jr. might end up getting to do enough in this regard, but I think I'd look at him more as a watch list dude. And frankly, with Micic, you could treat him as a watch list guy as well. Like, we don't know if LaMelo is going to play in their next ball game or not. My guess would be no, just based on his injury history, but we don't know. And the backups are sadly not very good. Miles Bridges had a big ball game. Mark Williams was okay. Frankly, all things considered, like, considering he was getting destroyed by Anthony Davis for most of the game, he did okay. Josh Okogie had a big game. He's looking like a steals play right now. Popped off in this one. Typically not a great three-point shooter, but he knocked down a few. Mostly steals is the direction you're rolling if you want to go Okogie. I probably don't. But again, if that's a stat you're hunting for, and let's say the schedule lines up properly, what does Charlotte's schedule look like here over the next little bit? They got Brooklyn tomorrow, and they got a Clippers Nuggets back-to-back on Friday, Saturday. So, like, you could deploy Okogie for that back-to-back, and you might get, 3 or 4 steals out of him. Not terrible, but again, not all that much. Detroit lost in Cleveland. I know the Cavs were getting upset because they had been on this kind of like little baby size slump. They're fine. They're still winning over 80% of their games on the season. No real notes on the Pistons side. There was hope. There was hope that Tobias Harris. It's a weird way to frame it. I was kind of hoping Tobias Harris would miss a game so we'd get a big Asar Thompson game. But Tobias didn't. He was bad. And that also meant that Thompson didn't get any extra minutes. So Asar is going to be on the outside looking in. Tobias was about as bad as you could possibly be in a basketball game, but he was dealing with Evan Mobley, so we'll cut him a little bit of slack there. Malik Beasley remains your 3-point play. Jalen Duren is your rebounds play. The blocks are nice right now. I don't know that they're going to stick. And then Cade Cunningham, super inefficient, but no real massive changes for Detroit and no real big changes for the Cavs either. Max Strus is picking up a little bit more stuff right now with Karis LeVert out. So he's, just a little bit more. We saw last year, Strus, when he's hot, he can go top 75. When he's not, he's more like, top 150, 160, kind of leveled off in that upper filler range. And that might be where he lands at some point down the stretch, but I don't think he's a guy you really need to go get. The Magic are kind of interesting right now, and not because Anthony Black played 42 minutes of a double overtime game and had 5 steals, and also not because Wendell Carter Jr. got 35 minutes, or Tristan Da Silva getting 34 minutes. The Magic are interesting because they're starting to get their guys back. Jalen Suggs was back out again, but Goga Bitadze was back for this game. He had 10 and 9 with a block. Make sure that Goga didn't get dropped while he was out with the concussion stuff. He's eventually here, at least I would think, going to pass Wendell Carter Jr. for that center spot, I think. I guess we'll see. But that's my assumption. So make sure that Goga's rostered. Franz, obviously, yes. Paolo, I mean, I don't like him for category leagues, but he's going to do stuff. And then hopefully Suggs will be back in not too long. I'm not doing anything with Anthony Black, though. I know this is a nice ball game, but if you got to play 43 minutes to get there, it's not a sustainable deal. I also don't much care for Duncan Robinson over on the Miami side. Give me Khalil Ware, give me Nikola Jovic, give me Bam Adebayo, give me Tyler Hero, and that's it. Let's not overcomplicate things. Jimmy Butler's suspension got switched to indefinite when he walked out of practice after being told he was going to come off the bench. We always kind of knew that he just wasn't really going to be playing for the Heat anymore. It was all just a stupid dog and pony show to try to make it seem like he might actually be back. Play the main guys. And, if you need 3-pointers, I guess you could roll Duncan Robinson, but I don't. Grizzlies got smashed by the Knicks. Zach Edey had a pretty good ball game here, but only 19 minutes. That's the issue. His minutes have been bouncing around a lot. I like the rebounds. I like the blocks. But with Santi Aldama back and Jake LaRavia back, but more so Aldama, it does kind of feel like Edey's minutes are a little bit capped because they'll go Aldama at the 4. I think Aldama was that then like an old video game where your cursor was a paintbrush? And then they can roll JJJ at the 5. They can roll Brandon Clark at the 5. They can play Jay Huff if they want to, although they didn't really yesterday. So they're just kind of too many big men. So I think I'm going to treat Edey more like a schedule play or an injury play as opposed to just a guy you have every day, which kind of pairs this team back down now to Jaren Jackson, Desmond Bane, and John Morant, and probably Aldama. Although he wasn't that great in this ball game, I think he slowly revs back up into that kind of mid to high 20s where he was before. And provided he can keep playing like he was before, then you'll see probably more Aldama. So see if he got dropped in all of this stuff. You guys know I'm not a massive Santi Aldama guy, but he's been really, really good this year when the minutes have been there. And so that, again, is kind of the will they be there? I think probably, but, it might not be every day, and he's not like a priority ad, but I do think he belongs on rosters. Nothing for the Knicks. Let's just keep going. There's literally nothing ever. Although the OG Anunoby buy low and the Mikal Bridges buy low seem like they're performing adequately. Amen Thompson, game winner for the Rockets. That's pretty cool. He had 33 and 10 in this win over the Celtics, which, again, I mean, it took basically like Houston's best punch, but whatever. A win's a win's a win. Dylan Brooks had 36 points. Where did that come from? What's Dylan Brooks ranked on the season? 160. That's all you need to know. Flash in the pan. Don't change anything you were doing with the Rockets. Jalen Green, who's come back to earth, not surprisingly. Tari Eason, he's a hold. Van Vliet, Şengün, Amen Thompson, those are the guys you're starting right now. I really do think that if you can get like a top 50 guy for Amen, you should do it. Because I mean, maybe he keeps the starting job over Jabari Smith, but I wouldn't guarantee it. Houston's good either way. That's the nice part. But, man, that kid can ball. Whew, he's good. Celtics, no Derek White for this ball game. So as we all assumed, Luke Cornett got the start. Yeah, indeed. No Sam Hauser. That probably would have been the guy to play, but he's out. So, you're down your backup, and no Al Horford. So you're down your first backup, your second backup, your third backup. So you're at Luke Cornett at this point now. And who had, by the way, a pretty damn good fantasy game. And, I guess the rule with Cornett is that if he's starting and a bunch of guys are hurt like this, you could probably drop him into a lineup for a day. But, man, it does take some stones. It's one of those ones where I think we just got to watch the injury report before Boston's next game. And they've got Chicago tomorrow. It'll be a high-scoring affair. And so if Horford and Hauser and White are all out again, you assume it's going to be Cornett because there just wasn't, look at the other options here. Nobody else even really played. Keita didn't play all that much. Pritchard obviously got his, but that doesn't really impact Cornett. Anyway, we move along. Sacramento beat Brooklyn. No surprise there. There was one little footnote here. Keon Ellis got 30 minutes. Keegan Murray only 25. I do think Keegan had some foul trouble in the first half, if I'm remembering right. So I wouldn't read too much into this, but you got to read a little into it. Because if Keon gets 30 minutes, he's a freaking fantasy play. I don't think I'm adding him off of this one ball game, but I would certainly keep a close watch because, let's say he plays 15 minutes in the Kings' next first half, then you pick him up. They're in Philly tomorrow, which, I don't know. I mean, Philly's down everybody again. So keep one eye on Keon Ellis. Again, I don't think that you need to add him off of this ball game, but I would watch to see because for the most part lately, 3, 4, 5 games in a row, when the Kings have been healthy, he hasn't played. This is the first time he has. So I don't want to read too much into the one time it worked as opposed to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games in a row where it didn't. 11, 18, 21, 21, 17. Those were the minutes played over that stretch. And he was good enough to start in fantasy in precisely one of those 5 games. For Brooklyn, Noah Clowney turned an ankle in this one. He had to be helped back to the locker room. We'll see what his status is going forward. The Nets are so screwy right now. But there is hope that, my guess would be after the trade deadline, but I guess we'll wait and see that Cam Thomas will be back. Cam Johnson will probably be gone, which, what the hell does this mean? Well, D'Angelo Russell is just going to do whatever he wants, so that's great. He's a guy you're going to start everywhere. Day'Ron Sharpe had a great game here with Nick Claxton only playing 25 minutes and fouling out. So you can't rely on that. But it's good to know that if Claxton is out of the way, they might go Sharpe at center. They might go Clowney at center, but I don't know that he really has the size to be a consistent all-the-time center. So keep one eye on Day'Ron Sharpe. I don't think you need to pick him up. I don't think you need to pick up Tosan. I don't think you need to pick up Jalen Wilson. I don't think you need to pick up Keon Johnson. I don't think you need to pick up Zaire Williams or Tyrese Martin. You should hold on Claxton. He's a tough one. You should actually hold and hope that he gets moved somewhere to a team that would actually play him full minutes because the Nets don't really care to. And then with Clowney, you guys know I'm not really a big Clowney believer. We've seen a few more defensive stats lately out of him, which is good. That's a step in the right direction after a number of games where he just wasn't getting any. Last 4 games before this one, he had 5 steals and 5 blocks. That's pretty good. He had 9 threes over those 4 games, but he also averaged 10 points and 5 rebounds. Is that going to be enough? I'm extraordinarily skeptical of Noah Clowney unless a bunch of guys get shut down, which, by the way, isn't impossible. You might see a bunch of guys just get out of the way. If Cam Johnson gets traded, great. That's usage out of the way. If Nick Claxton gets moved or shut down, that's a bunch out of the way. Cam Thomas, D'Lo, those guys are going to do a bunch, but they're not going to play every game down the stretch. So there might be some games in there where Clowney gets 15, 16 shots up, and those are the ones where he'd be worthwhile. But, I mean, you can see it here, 8, 9, 10 shots. That just hasn't even been remotely close to enough for him because the rest of his game has been a bit lacking. Field goal percent is low. Free throw is fine. Actually, he's been shooting the free throw relatively well of late. The threes are pretty good. And then we've seen that uptick in defensive stats, but I don't know that that's going to hold. So what do we do? Head-to-head, you probably try to hold through the deadline. Roto, I don't know that you need to. Toronto beat the Pelicans, and how long will the Pelicans even bother at this point? They're 12-35. They're done. They're not making the playoffs. They're 12 and a half games out of the last play-in spot. So are we going to start to see the plug getting pulled on New Orleans post-deadline? I said it before on the show. I'll say it again. Keep an eye on Jordan Hawkins. He's the guy that steps up when usage guys go down because he's willing to get in there and take a bunch of shots. It's not yet because McCollum, Trey Murphy, Zion, DeJounte, they took all the damn shots and they lost again. And keep an eye on Yves Missi also. Like, maybe Zion plays down the stretch because he's already missed so much time this year, but there's no guarantee that any of these guys is actually going to play it out. The biggest risks of being shut down, I would say, would be McCollum and Murray. But, you never really know. So keep an eye on the Pelicans. You know, if that first sign pops up that they're waving the white flag, which they should, and they should probably clean house because, man, what a huge disappointment to have most of their guys back. Like, they're basically only missing Brandon Ingram and Herb Jones, but they've still got like 4 of their good players. They really shouldn't be this bad. Anyway, Bruce Brown, I think, is the interesting note on Toronto. And I realize that we're running late to that party because he's been putting up numbers in low minutes lately. But I was more intrigued by the 29 minutes. And I get it. Grady Dick had 5 fouls in 19 minutes. That's probably not always going to be the case. And at some point, you assume that Emmanuel Quickley is going to resurface. But I went ahead and I added Bruce Brown in a few spots because I don't know what the Raptors are going to do down the stretch. I don't know if they're going to move any of these guys. I don't know if anybody's going to get shut down. So, Bruce Brown, moving into kind of like my third tier of trade deadline silly season names. I'm just a little bit more confident today than I was yesterday, is basically where I'm at. Because finally he saw almost starters level minutes. And that, of course, is really the difference maker. Like, he wasn't going to put up big numbers in 21, 22 minutes every game. It just wasn't going to stick. 28, 29, that's a bigger deal. Let's see if it happens when Grady Dick's not in foul trouble and or Quickley's back. My guess is probably won't, but we should be aware of it. The Hawks, no Trae Young, no Bogdan Bogdanovic. So this one was always going to be kind of a tough one. No Jalen Johnson. We knew that one going in. DeAndre Hunter took a lot of shots, so, that's good. Keaton Wallace is your Trae Young fill-in should you ever require it again. We knew that already from the last time that Trae Young missed a ball game. Risa Shea came back. He had 11 and 7 with a couple of steals, but the inefficiency will kill you there. Vit Krejci, 4, 5, and 6. Again, this is why I wasn't into the Vit Krejci thing. You guys yelled at me on Twitter. You were like, Dan, Vit Krejci is the story. I was like, well, I don't know, man. Watched this guy a lot last season. He had a bunch of opportunities to do fill-in stuff, but he's just not a usage guy. That's the big issue here. And yeah, the turnovers sucked, but like, that's not a thing that's going to hold. And you like the 6 assists, but like, you got to do more. If you're going to play 34, 35 minutes in a game, you've got to do more. And he's not a guarantee to do more. I do not care that Clint Capella had a better game than Onyeka Okongwu. Okongwu's the guy I want. And if there's any chance you can go get him after running into a Rudy Gobert-sized buzzsaw yesterday, you go do it. Let's see who's healthy for the Hawks next ball game, though. Nickeil Alexander-Walker went down partway through for Minnesota. We're still waiting on the Wolves' front court to miss a single ball game, but Walker's a wing, so that might have a little bit of a trickle-down impact on the front court. Mike Conley, 4, 4, 4, and 4. Yahtzee! Didn't shoot the ball well, but they're running out of bodies. So if he's going to have to play 30 minutes, we might end up picking up Conley. Jaden McDaniels continues to roll as wild, but he definitely belongs on rosters, as does Naz Reid. So, Naz is a yes, Jaden's a yes, Conley is a maybe. Conley was a no until Alexander Walker went down. And now I'm contemplating him, and I'm sure I'm going to regret it. But again, like, they're just running out of guys that can take point guard minutes. And so for Conley, he's played 30 minutes in 2 of the last 3. The steals are good. Like, just can't shoot this year. It's the darndest thing. But like, if he's going to play 30-something minutes and take 9 shots, then he would belong on rosters. And another guy that I don't think you have to race out to add until we see what's up with Nickeil Alexander-Walker. But he ain't far. I don't know what the hell the Nuggets were doing in this ball game. Shot 52% and lost. Only 11 free throws. That might have been part of it. Jokic was great. Christian Braun was great. You guys were trying to get me to drop Christian Braun. You all can go to hell. I will never drop Christian Braun. I mean, I would if it really got bad. Start the starters for the Nuggets. That's an easy one. Zach LaVine went home for a couple of days at the end of this ball game. He's expected to miss about a week or so, which really does open things up because Kobe White is already out. So, Josh Giddey, who you were probably already playing, gets better. Lonzo Ball, who I've been trying to talk you into playing, gets better. But most importantly, Ayo Dosunmu finally will have enough usage. We can pretty much guarantee it now. With no Kobe White, he already did enough in this ball game. But now going forward with no Kobe White and no Zach LaVine, Ayo to me is a must-add, must-play injury replacement guy in the near term. And the beauty part is he's long been one of my favorite trade deadline hold guys, and we might be able to just hold it through. So pick up Ayo if you hadn't already. He's going to be great in Chicago's next game. I feel very confident of that before I even look to see who they're playing. Oh, they're in Boston. All right, he might not be that great in that ball game, but he also might be pretty good. We'll see. I love Ayo's fantasy game, but it really only clicks when he gets the usage, and they won't really have any choice but to give him that now because Kobe White, Zach LaVine, you put their usage back into the main bucket, and Ayo's going to get some of that. So expect a dozen, 12, 13 shots. That's more than enough for him. Love it. Ayo, one of my favorites of the day. Wizards are barely a basketball team at this point, but at least Koulibaly is playing better these days. He's another one of my trade deadline hold guys on the hope that Kyle Kuzma gets moved or removed or whatever. Maybe Jordan Poole starts to take some games off as well. This team is so bad, though. Alex Sarr left early with some ankle soreness. Nobody really stepped up in his place. You know, my hope would be that it would end up being Rashawn Holmes, but I don't think that's going to be the case either. Tristan Vukcevic played 8 minutes. JV played 19. Sarr's the guy. They're sort of shoehorning into whatever they can give him. But, man, Wizards are tough to watch. They're a really, really, really bad basketball team. Really bad. But again, this is why you're desperately trying, even during the bad times, to hold on to Koulibaly, because he does everything when he actually gets the chance to. And the difference for him between 10, 11 shots and 13, 14, 15 shots is everything. That's the value play. So I know Spencer Dinwiddie had 9 assists. I know Klay Thompson had 7 3-pointers. I don't care. Kyrie Irving, Daniel Gafford, PJ Washington are the only Mavs you should be playing right now against a games cap. Yeah, these other guys you can play against if you got a schedule spot, whatever. But yeah. Milwaukee, also a relatively straightforward team, other than Chris Middleton, who got 27 minutes here and had 22 points, 3 boards, and 3 assists. But boy, he is a tough player to hold on to right now. Tough player to hold on to. The bench, Chris Middleton, has not been great. He's sitting right around the edge of the top 100, despite shooting really well in that bench role. So if that ever dries up, then you're really up a creek. I'm trying to hold on Middleton where I have him, which again is games cap roto, so it doesn't hurt me all that much. I dodged him in every head-to-head league on earth, as I told you guys I was during the run-up to the season, so at least we don't have to worry about him there. Like head-to-head leagues, he's almost droppable. Roto leagues, he's probably not, because you're still holding out hope that he gets to just do a little bit more as the season continues to progress. But he might not need to. Damian Lillard is number 7 this year, guys. That's pretty cool. How about Utah? Well, Colin Sexton played. Larry Markkinen played. Jordan Clarkson came back. And Keontae George played. Walker Kessler did not. John Collins did not. What did that mean? It meant that Isaiah Collier continued to start at point guard. He had 12 and 8 with 3 steals. And honestly, okay, we've talked about Isaiah Collier a lot because he keeps coming up on the stash episodes we're doing here on the program. So I don't think you guys need me to go into too much detail. My take on Collier is you basically need to be playing either 8-cat or punting either turnovers or field goal percent or both. So, if you're running straight 9-cat roto, he's probably going to do more damage than good, more harm than good. If you're punting either of those categories or both, then the good is going to outweigh the bad. And that, to me, is the dividing line on Isaiah Collier. Keontae George no longer being the starting point guard is not great for his fantasy value. I have no Keontae Georges in any 9-category leagues because of my fears around his turnovers and field goal percent. Turnovers will probably be better coming off the bench. Field goal percent is going to likely remain crummy. If you drafted him for your team build, you just roll with it. If you drafted him in a 9-cat league, despite me yelling at you not to do it, you're probably just sort of screwed. This is the thing. The math has to be trusted if you're trying to go 9-cat. And some of you still are. I know that a lot of you are like, yeah, nobody goes for all 9. People do. People do. Novice to intermediate leagues, you go for all 9. Roto leagues, you're often going for all 9. It's more the expert head-to-head leagues where you're not. Not everybody listening to every podcast and reading every tweet is in an expert league. Many of you are, because why are you watching a fantasy show? Hold on Colin Sexton, hold on Lauri Markkanen. I don't like Jordan Clarkson's fantasy game. You guys know that about me. He's like these other guys. He's like Keontae George, but probably just going to not get to do as much. And he might get traded anyway, so I'm not doing anything with Clarkson. And finally, Kawhi Leonard's minutes cap got raised to 28 from 25. Here he comes, baby. 17, 5, and 2, 2 steals, a block, and a 3 on great percentages. It's really just a matter of time before Kawhi Leonard is dunking on everyone. Ivica Zubac was a load and a half in this ball game. By the way, it's funny, Basketball Monster shows this thing as tied. Phoenix won this game. Norm was still good. 14 shots instead of 18 or 19. That's notable here as Kawhi gets ramped up. I mean, look, Norm is still going to be a fantasy play, as evidenced by the fact that he got 38 minutes in this game, and, he still did some stuff. It's just not going to be quite as good as it was before. So that's why we were talking about, can you get a top 50 guy back for him? That'd be great. Is someone offering you, top 80? In that case, you maybe just want to stick with Powell, because the floor is probably still around the 100 range, and he might still, roll into the 60s. Things could still break the right way. So Powell, Zubac, Harden. Harden is just, I know the 7 turnovers were still there, and it's probably not going to go away forever. But I don't think it's a coincidence that Harden is slowly moving up the rank board since Kawhi Leonard came back. I know I've said it before. I'll say it again. Derrick Jones Jr., another good ball game for him. Profiles more as a schedule play just because of the up and down of it all. And, that's your Clippers right now. Over on the Phoenix side, Booker was good. KD was okay. Tyus Jones was good. Nick Richards was bad. Got dunked on by Ivica Zubac. Beal was not great, but played 33 minutes, so I'll call that good enough. He's a hold. Beal's a start. It's not going to be great, but he's a start as they, again, try to move him. And keep an eye on Grayson Allen. He had 18 points on only 10 shots. He's hyper efficient. 28 minutes, if he got that every night, would probably be enough. The problem is that we don't know that he's necessarily going to get that every night. But Grayson Allen is also kind of teetering right on the edge of watch list for me. And there are a few of those guys that we talked about on today's show, Allen kind of being the latest among them. His minutes lately have gone 28, 29, 27, 24, 25, 28. And he's going to get you threes, but there just hasn't quite been enough of the other stuff. And so maybe the key for Allen is, do we need to get one of the main guys out of the way? Probably is the answer to that question. Probably. All right. Managed to get through this thing in a half an hour. That's pretty good. Before we go, though, oh gosh, I forgot to do all of the ad reads. What an idiot. All right, we're going to knock out some ads here at the end. First of all, Bet Online. Again, we wouldn't be able to do any of this without Bet Online. They're the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned bettor or a first-timer, Bet Online is your ultimate game day companion. Every touchdown, every three-pointer, every hat trick, Bet Online has you covered while you cover your play with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. They've got football, Super Bowl coming up, everybody. It's a big week, biggest week. College hoops, NBA, NHL, UFC, you name it, they've got it. Bet Online. The game starts here. Okay, let's play a little Underdog together, shall we? This is read number 2. First of all, we're going to hang out on UnderdogFantasy.com. You guys ready for this? Y'all ready for this? It's loading right now. I'm so upset with myself. I doinked yesterday's... Deep breath, Dan. Deep breath. You're going to get through this. So yesterday, by the way, sign up at UnderdogFantasy.com today using promo code OLDMAN, OLDMAN, to unlock $1,000 in bonus cash. That's at a 50% deposit match bonus and a free play. I love the free play. You can't see it on my screen because I already used it. I'm so mad at myself from yesterday, though. You guys remember yesterday's show as we went through this and we played a card together at UnderdogFantasy.com, and I was feeling so sure of myself because we went Malik Monk. That's who Brenton told us to take. But I went points instead of point, rebound, assist. And that killed me. But I went Josh Okogie against the Lakers. I knew he was just the kind of guy that always goes off against the Lakers, and we nailed that one. He went higher with flying colors. And I picked the wrong Malik Monk. All right, let's see what we got. Lakers playing Philly today. Usually I got a pretty good feel. I'm not going to go Maxey. I know he's going to take a lot of shots, but I think the Lakers are going to be game planning exclusively for him. I feel like it's going to be, someone like Justin Edwards, Yabusele, Eric Gordon, one of these other boners. Oh, Kelly Oubre. He's got go big against the Lakers written all over him. What can we do with Oubre? Points and assists, point, rebound, assist. What are we going to do here? Or do we go under for one of these guys? Like maybe I'll go under on 40.5 Tyrese Maxey. If the Lakers are going to be game planning for all him, man, he's all by himself. That feels like a ballsy under. All right, we're going to go Kelly Oubre higher than 27.5 point, rebound, assist. Okay, that's our first one. But I can't pick two from the same game, so we got to go another direction here. What are we going to do together? I shouldn't take too much time, but I also don't want to screw this up because I keep losing by a hair. Utah, Golden State, Brandon Pajemski. He played better last ball game, and a lot of guys are out for the Warriors. Do we think Pods can have something decent, or do we want to go under for somebody? Houston, Atlanta, Trae Young maybe lower on the points. Trae back for the back-to-back. Houston's in a little bit of a letdown mode after the big win over the Celtics. This game is screaming letdown game for the Rockets. So I would normally go under if I thought this was going to be on the radar. Although we also know that, no, that's a different thing. Milwaukee, Portland. Milwaukee played last night, right? Didn't we just talk about the Bucks? Where was their win yesterday? Milwaukee was at Utah, then they fly into Portland to take on a Jazz team. So, yeah, maybe we'll go under on some Bucks. This is a tough travel day for them. Bobby Portis, Taurean Prince. Oh, man. I want to do an under on the Bucks, but I'm not really sure which direction to go. Let's go. I'm not going to go Giannis because I think if some of the Bucks are sort of half asleep, then Giannis is going to be the guy to have to go do more. Dame's been hot lately. Maybe Brook Lopez point, rebound, assist under is the way to go. If Portis is back. Portis is going to go jack up a bunch of crap. All right, we're going to go Brook Lopez under 19.5 point board assist. And we'll go small on this one. This will just be a little $3 wager. I'm sure I'm going to screw this up, but there you go. You want to play along with me? Have at it. Kelly Oubre, higher. Brook Lopez, under. Sign up today with Old Man is the code, OLDMAN, or just click on the link in the show description and unlock those sweet bonuses with our buddies over at Underdog. And now we are officially done for the day. I'm Dan Besbris at Dan Besbris on Twitter. If you made it to this point, you got to subscribe. That's the rule. Follow on social. Hit the like button. Hit the like button on our trade deadline live show too, by the way. Are we at 650 yet on that? 661, ladies and gentlemen. We're flying as we try to run for 750. 750 is the goal before trade deadline Thursday. We've got 9 days to go. I got to get 90 likes in 9 days now. I know we're running out of you, but we'll get there, I believe. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you guys later today. Stash Show with Noah Rubin coming up later today. Stay tuned for that. Subscribe!